discretion is advised. The following episode of Scary Parre contains graphic descriptions, disturbing subject matter, and real-life accounts of violence, crime, and trauma. These stories may be unsettling and are not suitable for children or viewers who are sensitive to graphic content. The content presented is for educational and discussion purposes only. We do not glorify violence, nor do we intend to exploit the victims involved. Listener discretion is strongly advised. If you choose to continue, brace yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Scary Parre. It is your host, Parre T, along with
your girl, Mila B.
Mila B and the B stand for about to be all up in their business. Yes, because we got some crazy details and a crazy story today as we're wrapping up the final part of our very first mini series of the Scary Parre podcast, the Jeffrey Epstein Files. And part 3, we are talking about the fall, the cell, and the silence. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody who has been tuning in to this series, who has been liking the videos, commenting on the previous lives, who have been engaging with us. We genuinely appreciate it. Now, because we genuinely appreciate it, we definitely need your support. So if you feel compelled to, please send stars or donate to the Cash App below to keep the Scary Parre podcast running and, seeing all the stuff that you love to see. So again, I want to give a huge shout out to the viewers, the commenters. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are awesome, and you guys are the bigger part of Scary Parre, and you are why we do this. So now, again, welcome to Scary Parre. Scary Parre. That's my first time actually hearing that because I wasn't able to hear it before. That is actually really scary, and I don't know if I like that. But all right, let's go ahead and let's get on into it. Mila B. B stand for about to be in the business. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the past few episodes, we've talked about the island. We've talked about the network. Now let's talk about the moment the curtain dropped. On July 6, 2019, federal agents arrested Jeffrey Epstein at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. He had just flown in from Paris because apparently when you're under investigation, you still collect passports and you still stamp them like they're Pokemon cards. You just go ahead and, travel the world while you're, fleeing and under arrest. But this time when he got arrested, it wasn't Florida. It wasn't a quiet negotiation. It was the Southern District of New York. And they charged him with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy. These are federal charges, and they're serious charges. The kind that don't come with a spa-like work release privileges. So you guys remember in the previous episodes when we were discussing Epstein, when he last got arrested, he was able to be on a work release and he was able to come and go within reason of the jail as he pleased, all under work relations. This time, he was under federal serious charges and he did not get those privileges of being able to be released. Now, here's what's important. This indictment wasn't just about Palm Beach anymore. It described a trafficking operation operating in New York, Florida, New Mexico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So this wasn't isolated behavior. This was infrastructure. This was him building that sex trafficking ring, that sex trafficking network, and conspiracizing with other people involved to build that network. Crazy work. This was him over there on that SpongeBob island that we talked about. Remember the whole Bikini Bottom, or how the above Bikini Bottom looked like the island? This was him on that.
Mm-hmm.
So they were getting ready to charge him with some things. So after he was arrested, of course, when authorities searched Epstein's Upper East Side mansion in Manhattan, they reportedly found CDs labeled with names, large sums of cash, diamonds, and an Australian passport with Saudi Arabia listed as the residence. So now we're coming into some more fraudulent behaviors. We're coming into more identity fraud behaviors. Because how do you have an Australian passport with Saudi Arabia listed as a residence? Who let that go down? That's not even doable. Now, why does a billionaire financer need a second passport? In your opinion, Milo, why do you think a billionaire financer would need a second passport?
It's an alias.
Definitely an alias. I feel that. Definitely an alias. And it's like, were they planning a spy thriller or are they planning an exit strategy? That's my thought process. So he had this second passport in my mind, this billionaire, and he probably had money stashed away somewhere so he could, if shit hits the fan, he could go be a whole nother resident in a whole nother country.
Mm-hmm.
He probably had some dual citizenship somewhere.
More than
Have
likely.
you ever wanted dual citizenship somewhere?
No.
No, you never wanted to live in like another country permanently?
Mm-mm.
I have. Like I always said, like if I could live in another country somewhere, it would probably be Canada. Or I would probably try to crack the code of Japan. Like that's where my dual citizenship would be. Commenters and people who are viewing the live, if you ever wanted a dual citizenship somewhere, drop the comments in the live. Where would you have wanted a dual citizenship? For those of you guys that are going to play it back, put that in the comments. If you were to get a dual citizenship somewhere other than the US, where would you like your dual citizenship to be? So let's be honest here. When you have an emergency identity options, that's not just in case, that's like I said, for when things go left. So in his mind, he had an emergency identity for when things go left. And by 2019, they had gone very left. Epstein requested bail, right? He offered 77 million bond, house arrest, and private armed guards. So this is him still trying to maintain that control. Epstein was all about having control. So, Milo, let's play make believe. Okay. All right, you ready? Let's say you the judge. Go like this.
No.
That's what judges do.
Okay.
All right.
Moving forward.
All right. Respect. So let's say you the judge, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The person just got arrested. They just get arrested. Oh, chill, police siren. I got scared. I thought they was coming for me. They just got arrested. They're sitting in front of you, and they have a lawyer team, but they tell you, hey, judge, I want a $77 million bond. I want to be put on house arrest, and I want private armed guards. As that judge, are you accepting that, knowing that he's being charged with what is he being charged with? He's being charged with federal charges of sex trafficking minors and conspiracy. $77 million bond is what he's offering. He wants to be placed on house arrest, and he wants his own guards, private armed guards.
I'll give him everything besides his own guards.
Okay. I see your thought process. I can't fully subscribe to it though.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the reason why. So $77 million bond, that's nothing to him, right? That's nothing to him when you're a 14 times over billionaire. 77 million, that's nothing to you. House arrest, when you have that much money and everything, that house is like a palace and you're kicking it. I mean, you're kicking it. People, only thing that is hindering of house arrest is you can't leave, but people can still come to you. So he still has the access to what is bringing him in there to begin with. And then, like you said, the private armed guards, I couldn't get with that either. And the main reason of why I can't get with the private armed guards is because are these guards bringing you the children that you're not supposed to be around?
Right.
And are they helping you? So yeah, definitely not. Yeah, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. Not for that. So basically he said, I promise I won't flee. I'll just fortify. The judge said no. And that's when Epstein was sent to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. Now, here is where the story stops feeling like a court case and starts to feel more like a movie script. Okay? Are you following me here? Any questions, comments, or concerns while we're here? Okay. On July 23rd, 2019, Epstein was found semi-conscious in his cell with injuries to his neck. Officials said it could have been a suicide attempt or a possible assault. He was placed on suicide watch, and then he was removed from suicide watch. So let me say that again slowly. A high-profile detainee facing federal trafficking charges allegedly attempts self-harm is removed from suicide watch shortly after. What?
Because it wasn't a suicide watch. I mean, it wasn't.
Like
he killed his what you call it? His what's the fucking name?
Ooh, language.
He killed his cellmate.
Okay, but this. Okay, so we're possibly getting there. So this was the very first incident. So I think you're talking about the second or third one. So the very first incident involves him, a high profile, like I said, a high profile detainee facing federal trafficking charges, allegedly attempted to self-harm, and they put him on suicide watch for a day and took him off shortly after.
I mean, that's not new. They do that all the time to people.
Only having him on suicide watch for a day, that's not even long enough for the nurse to come in there and prescribe the medication that you need for after.
I mean, just because they put you on suicide watch doesn't always mean that you need prescriptions or medications for it.
But you definitely was. What was that? I heard it. Okay, sorry, but you definitely need you definitely stutter. You definitely have to have some sort of psych evaluation, right? And most of the times when you do well, just from the research that I've done recently, when you are in prison or in jail and you do a suicide attempt, they have a jail doctor that does the psych visits and stuff. But then at that point, they also reach out to outside jail facility psych doctors for them to come in and do a psych visit. During that time, you're still on suicide watch. They have to put you on a 72-hour hold.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he paid him off to the point where he ain't got to do that.
I could see that. I could see him saying, hey, ma, check your account.
I don't think he said that.
Oh, my bad. That's what it sounded like to me. That's what it sounded like to me. Hey, ma, go ahead and check that account. Get me out of here.
We know he would have got you.
All right.
I'm just saying.
All right. We know he would have got you. All right. Whatever. On August 10th, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell. The New York City medical examiner ruled it suicide by hanging. The official cause of death was suicide. Now, here's where people start to lean in. Because on the night he died, guards reportedly failed to conduct a required 30-minute check. The surveillance cameras malfunctioned, and his cellmate had been transferred out. So, the most high profile inmate in America at this time was alone, unmonitored in a federal facility with broken cameras. You couldn't write a more suspicious combination if you tried. And I'm not saying conspiracy. Actually, no, I'm very well saying conspiracy, but I'm saying incompetence at a level that feels almost cinematic, like movie script ready, right? So hear me out. Are you ready for the conspiracy? For those of you guys who are new to the Scary Perry podcast, the conspiracy is the conspiracy of the crime done Perry T and Mila B style. Conspiracy. Let's get into it. So here we go. After just reading what I just read, with him dying the way he died and the cellmate being gone, I don't think this man is dead. I think the body that they moved out and the cellmate being transferred out, I think that was actually the cellmate's body, and they said that he transferred him out so that they could move Jeffrey Epstein. I think he's somewhere on that island hiding out, and what Tupac is crazy. Now, don't you put that jacket on that man, may he rest in peace. But I think he's alive somewhere. So
he in Cuba with Tupac.
And I'm gonna keep it a whole honesty hour with you. I don't think they're even in Cuba.
I do.
I really don't think they're in Cuba. I really think they're on that SpongeBob ass island where all his accommodations and things are being met. He's home. And I really think that cellmate that was transferred, like I said, they killed him. They saved his body so that way, for the media purposes, when his body came out of the jail, they could say this is Jeffrey Epstein, or his body came out. It probably wasn't. And mind you, we're not up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we don't live in Manhattan, and we don't live right outside the jail cell to see if it was really his body that came out, or to see them transfer him out. We're not going to see that.
It's not even that. It's they can disform. They can disform his face where you can make somebody unrecognizable, so you can't tell if that's him.
Yes, even more so. And I got excited. Even more so, and he has the money to pay somebody to do all that.
And all he got to do is put his DNA on him. Pay somebody to use his DNA samples and be like, "Oh, we ran DNA with such and such, and we found this is Jeffrey Epstein."
Yeah, crazy work.
They gonna come get me. That's the problem. I just be thinking too much.
Girl, they gonna come get us. And please don't shut us down. We love y'all. So much love, much power to y'all. Please don't shut us down. Again, that was a conspiracy, a Scary Perry conspiracy.
And watch it be right.
It is not factual. We do not have the proof. So do not shut us down because you feel some type of way that we're putting our brains together and we're two beautiful Black women who are thinking on a higher power. Look, Mila, clock that. All right. So the two correctional officers were later charged with falsifying records and accused of sleeping and failing to check on Epstein. They reportedly filled out paperwork claiming they conducted their rounds, and they did not. So now we're not just dealing with a tragedy, we're dealing with a system failure, a protocol failure, and an oversight failure. And here's the haunting part. Epstein's death ended the criminal case against him. So no trial, no testimony, no cross-examination, no public unraveling of relationships, no courtroom reveal of names. The ledger closed. Case closed. But the story didn't completely die. In July 2020, Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested. Okay. In December of 2021, she was convicted on multiple federal sex trafficking charges. Prosecutors described her as a recruiter, a facilitator, a key architect in grooming the minors. In 2022, Ghislaine was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, here's the part that kind of fucks with me. Maxwell was convicted. I'm not saying she was right in anything she did in any part that she played. But it sucks that she was the only one that got in trouble. Epstein is allegedly dead, and many of the alleged clients were never criminally charged. And that's where public frustration lives. Because when a system collapses, we expect dominoes and not a selective breeze. So basically, Ghislaine had to take the fall for everything. And we don't know the relationship between her and Jeffrey. We don't know how all that, how all that went. We don't know none of that. We just know that she assisted with grooming the girls. She assisted with picking the girls and choosing girls. Remember the last episode we talked about her? We learned that she told one of the girls, his doctor says that he has to have sex about 9 times a day and I can't keep up. So, hey, girlie, can you help me? Please help me. And that's where it started. And remember we talked and I said she started with grooming or trying to get girls that were over the age of 18 in these elite colleges and stuff that came from well-off families. So they didn't really need any motivation to do this. So with that being said, I apologize, everybody. I'm sorry. My clients are... I apologize. Okay. My bad. My apologies. That's what happens when you're everybody's favorite manager and they just don't respect the fact that you're doing the show. So just give me one moment. Alrighty. Phone is up. Okay. So yeah, she took the fall for everything. Maya, let me ask you something. Me and you, right? Us. Yes. You see me? You see me? See you? See us? See us?
Right.
Okay. I go do something. You with me? You are with me. You're doing it too. All right. They arrest me first. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They get me. I miraculously disappear.
Mm-hmm.
They charge you and you got to do 20 years. Are you mad about that?
I'm just kill myself.
Oh, you can't say that on here.
Oh. All right. I lied. I'm not gonna do that. We don't believe in that. My bad.
Okay, so see, I'm gonna have to put you through media training. I can't believe you just did that. Okay, next question.
Okay, whatever.
Because you can't. Yes, you can't say that.
Okay.
Maybe done took our live down.
My bad. I didn't mean it.
She didn't mean it. All jokes. I mean, that's not a joking matter, but she didn't mean it. So the bigger question, let's zoom out here. Epstein moved in elite circles. He moved with politicians, business leaders, royalty, academics, the wealthy, the powerful. So now listen carefully. Being associated does not equal guilt. So just like that example, okay, that I just gave you, me and you out, kicking it, kicking it, right? I'm out there doing something I ain't got no business doing, but you are my friend. You're associated with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
because I get picked up, just because you're associated with me does not equal that you are guilty of or had any partake of what I was doing.
Guilty
Right?
by association.
Guilty by association. But in this case, it is very, 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 very important that we disclose that just because some of these high profile people were associated with Epstein does not equal guilt.
I mean,
But mhm.
in a sense, it do. Y'all was okay with the nonsense he was doing.
So okay, so remember the first episode when I showed those pictures of I showed those pictures, and in those pictures we saw how some celebrities were there, and then behind them, like in the further back part of them, were pictures or were redacted photos of young girls, but they had nothing to do with those. They were just on that island to visit Epstein and to enjoy the private island and the luxuries of the island, not the young girls. And then some people were associates of Epstein. They were just there for dinner and things like that, and the girls were there in the photos. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't fully subscribe to that. We're guilty by association with this one because not all of them are guilty by association. Now, there's a few of them, most of them being politicians, 45, but it's neither here nor there. Influence changes how accountability unfolds, and that's the real horror here. Not just crime, but insulation. When money becomes armor, and when connections become shields, silence becomes strategy. That's scarier than the island. So, let me ask you something. Do you think justice requires exposure? So, do you think that in order for someone or a case to get justice, in order for them to get the correct type of justice, their case requires to be exposed? Like they need a certain amount of exposure?
No.
Okay. Do you think exposure is collateral damage?
Yes.
Okay. If Epstein had gone to trial, so let's just go. Are you ready to play make believe? Let's play make believe. Let's say Epstein was able to go to trial. Let's say he was still alive and he went to trial. Do you think he would have told us everything?
No, because I wouldn't tell nobody everything. There's some shit you just can't tell everybody. Some shit you gotta keep to yourself.
You want to know something? I disagree.
Why?
Because in order to keep him himself out of trouble, because bottom line, he was going to do some time. He was going to have to do some time. It was his island, his home, his place. The girls were there. He was going to have to do some time. But do I believe he would have went down alone? No. Do I think he would have made Ghislaine take the fall and go down alone? No. I think he would have got up on that stand and sung like a canary. He would have been like, oh, don't forget, 45 was there and he was doing this with that. Bill Clinton was there and he had her strung up against the wall. Such as Prince Andrew was there and he was giving CPR to somebody. Yeah, he would have told.
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, he gotta tell his lawyer everything because they'll get you out regardless. But I don't think if he would have got up on that stand and they would have been right hand to God, I don't think he would have said everything that he told his lawyer.
Right. I think I definitely think he would have I still think he would have told his lawyer, but he also I think in order to appeal to the jury that was going to be over his case or on his case, he would have told. He would have been like, this is what it was, and then I think he would have copped out and been like, I was under so much pressure to sustain an image because I led with this image, and in order to keep this image, this is what I have to do. So I think he would have tried to play victim and victimize himself. I really think he would have done that. Here's my next question. Do you think the world would have been ready to hear is so let's say he took the route of telling everything. And this case would have been televised on CNN, MSNBC, KCTV5 even. Do you think the world would have been ready to really hear the truths of what was going on that island?
They're not going to believe it. Like, legit,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to believe half the stuff he said with half the people that he said he's going to do or that he said he was with. Because it's just like, you done threw my idol under the bus, and you saying my idol did this, that, and the third. My idol wouldn't do that. I look up to that person.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. I could definitely see that. So, this is for okay. That's the closing. Before we get into the closing, because we're not ready to end just yet. So let me give you guys an update of what is going on as far as the trial for those of you guys who have been following from the start up until recently. So recently, documents releases in DOJ handling. So the DOJ, the DOJ is the Department of Justice. They removed tens of thousands of files. The U.S. Department of Justice recently took offline more than 47,000 Epstein-related documents that had been published, including FBI interview records with a woman alleging abuse involving Jeffrey Epstein and 45 in the 1980s, after criticism over redactions, sensitivity, and tagging issues in the release. Advocates and lawmakers have expressed outrage, saying key files have been withheld or improperly handled, especially materials referencing potentially high-profile figures. So we have lawmakers that are upset because these files were out at one point and they were published, but the Department of Justice decided to take them off and unpublish them. And a lot of these files, they had materials that had high profile figures in them, and lawmakers can't see them. The Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee about his past ties to Epstein after newly released documents revealed multiple meetings and communications. So these newly released documents revealed that the Commerce Secretary, so the Commerce Secretary is the secretary over the U.S. money. Howard Lutnick and Jeffrey Epstein has had several communications. Right. Those came out in the recently new released documents. So he has agreed to testify. Right. Reports indicate figures such as Bill Clinton, which we've seen a lot of him in the pictures. He seemed like he was at that island every week. Such as Bill Clinton have been questioned by congressional committees about their association with Epstein. So he's already been questioned. Now let's get into the settlements and legal fallout. So there was a $35 million settlement that was approved. A U.S. federal judge gave a preliminary approval to a $35 million settlement reached by Epstein's estate with accusers in a class action suit against two of Epstein's former advisors accused of helping conceal his activities. Those two accusers deny any wrongdoings. And then let's take some context on some of the files that were released. The ongoing unraveling of the Epstein Files stems from the Epstein Files Transparency Act of November 2025, which required the Department of Justice to release virtually all documents related to the investigation of Epstein's criminal conduct and associates. The Department of Justice has released millions of pages in batches, but the process has been continuous due to redaction errors, delayed disclosures, and disputes over withheld materials. So basically, we're having an issue with them redacting the photos. Some of the photos didn't need to be redacted, or they were overly redacted, and we couldn't use or they couldn't use them as evidence. The disclosures to the victims were delayed, so you couldn't use them as evidence, because if you're disclosing or if you're showing something about a victim, you ultimately have to kind of have their approval as well, or at least disclose that you're doing that. Some of those victims didn't get their disclosures before the stuff came out, so then they had to take the stuff back. So alrighty, here are some main figures that were directly implicated or closely connected to Jeffrey Epstein or the island. So of course we know Ghislaine Maxwell. She was Epstein's closest known accomplice, and she was convicted in 2021 for sex trafficking and abuse conspiracy. Her communications and actions dominate much of the released material, so she is the main one found in those released documents. Jean-Luc Brunel, French modeling agent tied to Epstein's recruitment network, allegedly to have sourced young women. He is deceased. He committed suicide in the custody He committed suicide in custody in 2022, but heavily referenced in the Nest of the Files. So remember when we talked about Ghislaine and they were picking the girls, and it's like, okay, if you come and do this with us, we can promise you modeling contracts. We can expose you to different walks of life. He was the French modeling agent that was supposed to help expose them. Leslie Groff, Epstein's longtime assistant, extremely frequently mentioned in the documents and appears in over 1,000 of the records. Richard Kahn and Derek Indike, Epstein's accountant and personal lawyer, and executors of his estate. Karina Schulach, Epstein's last known girlfriend, named as a beneficiary of his estate with jewelry and valuables. These are people who were close to him. Do you have any questions or concerns? I don't want to. Okay. So, we're going to talk about some political figures who were mentioned in these files. Now, I want to state this. Appearance in the files does not equate to wrongdoing. They range from social meetings, email correspondence, to tangible notes. Not everybody is guilty. Not everybody has been charged. We are still working on that. With the first person that I am naming, I know we have seen pictures. We have seen other documents that include this person. And I'm really not naming this person due to legality reasons or legal reasons. But the first person mentioned is 45. Okay. Sick fuck. Mentioned multiple times in the Epstein Files. Some unverified FBI tip interviews have not been publicly released yet. So what that means is that some of the girls did FBI interviews about what happened in their experiences on that island with 45, but they have not been publicly released. Bill Clinton shows up in photos and social context in earlier releases and is frequently referenced in flight logs and event records. Remember last week we showed a picture of him on a plane in a redacted photo of a female on his lap. Then we showed the picture of him in the hot tub of a redacted photo with the female in the hot tub right next to him. Bill Clinton, to be married to him, poor Hillary. Stephen Bash and Steve Tix, they appear in email correspondence related to Epstein and mutual contacts, not necessarily indicative of wrongdoing. And forgive me, this name I'm going to pronounce completely wrong. It almost put me in a stutter loop. Hang on. Thorborn Jaglin. He is a former PM of Norway. I don't know what that means. But he was charged in Norway amid scrutiny from emails with Epstein. His properties were searched in the early 2026. Mana Joao, she's the Norwegian ambassador, resigned after it was revealed that family members were named in Epstein's will associated with an investigation in Norway. Borge Brandy, former Norwegian foreign minister, whose correspondence with Epstein in 2018 to 2019 was disclosed. It caused a significant political embarrassment. I don't know what was said between him and Jeffrey Epstein, but whatever it was, it embarrassed him significantly politically. And then lastly, Miroslav Lajak, a Slovak diplomat found in the files with frequent exchanges with Epstein. Reports describe uncomfortable, suggestive content. And yeah, it was just a whole bunch. We have a few celebrities like Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Chris Tucker, Richard Branson. These show up in periodic photo releases, flight logs, social context included in the files. Let's see. Catherine Rumler, she is a former Goldman Sachs legal chief, whatever. But a lot of celebrities have recently been named, and these are continuously coming out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the closing. And then, Mila, do you have a scary peripeep for this week? No? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give the closing. We got to do some paratisments. Wait. I'm getting it. Paratisments. Yay. Okay. Hang on. Let me put that on there for about 1 minute. Okay. Paratisments. Yay. Let's go ahead and get started. Our first paratisment. What do we have this week? We have Knucklehead Clothing. Again, Knucklehead Clothing is the proud sponsor of the Parre T Management podcast and most of anything that's Parre T Management. You can get your Knucklehead Clothing at www.knuckleheadclothing.com. Again, that's www.knuckleheadclothing.com. Again, you can reach out to him. He is Black owned. Everything is done in-house and it's done by their family. No middleman, Black owned family just trying to make a way. So reach out, order from him. The shirt that I am wearing today, where it says "Women Are Drug," that is a Knucklehead Clothing shirt. So definitely tap in with Knucklehead Clothing and get you one. The Parre T Management family is looking for sponsors. So the Misadventures of Sneed, Scary Parre Podcast, Parre T Management, Pear Bear Childcare, Parapy Podcast, Popular Ignorance Podcast, the Academy KC Podcast. We are all looking for sponsors, donators, whatever you may wish. If you're interested in donating, sponsoring, reach out to me directly. You can reach me on Facebook at Perry Thompson, Instagram at Parre T Management _, or you can email parretmanagement@gmail.com. And then let's see. Last night, Parapy did the Inner Critic versus Your True Voice, episode 2 of the mini series of the Parapy podcast. And then next week we have episode 3, which is our final episode. It is people pleasing versus people pleasing is self-abandonment. So we're going to be talking about how we can overcome people pleasing and step into our light in ourselves. You can also watch all of the previous episodes of Parapy and the Scary Parre podcast on our YouTube page at Parapy. And my favorite event, Mila, go ahead and point. The other way, the other finger.
What?
It's point to the flyer.
I'm pointing to it. You using the wrong damn finger.
No, I'm pointing to it too, girl. Anyway,
Fuck it then.
Kansas City Podcast Convention number 5, hosted by the Get It Off Your Chest podcast and the Everybody Loves Ross podcast. This is not the updated flyer. The updated flyer, we have plenty more vendors as well. We have a lot of vendors, and I can't wait to see all the vendors. If you're interested, we still have vendor spots. The last day to pay your vendor fee is March 6th. You can reach out to myself at Perry Thompson on Facebook and Perry T Management _ on Instagram. CJ, Terry, host of the show, Ross from Everybody Loves Ross, and Rashida Jaree from Everybody Loves Ross. You can reach out to them to secure your spot. Vendor tables are $100 for podcasters and vendors. This is a networking event. Come out, network, create content, get on some of the other podcast books as far as shows and bookings. You can also come to my table where Treat Me Crazy will be there, Parre will be there, Scary Perry will be there, and we're also doing management consultations. So artists, step into the building and get a free consultation where usually I charge, you'll get a free 15-minute consultation. So come out. And I think that's all I had as far as advertisements. Miley, did you have anything? No? Okay. Alrighty. So Jeffrey Epstein's life ended in a prison cell, unfortunately. But the conversation didn't. And maybe the scariest part of this entire series isn't the island. It isn't the mansion. It isn't even the cell. It's the realization that systems don't just collapse. They recalibrate. And when they do, they rarely announce it. Basically, he started it, but who's finishing it? This has been another episode of the Scary Perry podcast. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Perry T, along with
your girl, Marla B.
And we will see you guys next week as we open into our cult series. We are starting mini series number 2. And we're diving into some significant cult leaders of the years, the time. So tune into that. I'm super excited to get into that. Y'all know my fave, Charles Manson, gonna be in there, and we definitely gonna dive into him and talk about him. So again, tune into that, and thank you guys for tuning into Scary Perry. Have a great night. Bye.